Tonight, we're opening a strategic briefing on how India's national security is being radically transformed. I mean, the very definition of a battlefield is being rewritten as we speak. We're going to look at a nation preparing for a future war fought with autonomous drone swarms and invisible electronic weapons, while at the exact same time, seriously debating a border defense strategy that involves, well, apex predators. This is a story of incredible contrasts, of high-tech and primal tactics, and it's all part of one single, complex game plan for a new era of conflict. Stay to the end because some shocking things I'm going to reveal in this video. Let's get back to the video. All right, let's dive right into this core tension because it's fascinating. On one hand, you have the future of war. We're talking algorithms, silicon, the silent reach of electronic signals. It's all about winning through systems that can think and fight on their own. But on the other hand, you have this ancient deterrent, a proposal to use the teeth and claws of nature's own predators as a frontline defense. Now, this isn't just some weird contradiction. It's a deliberate, two-pronged approach. And what it reveals is a security mindset that believes the next war won't be fought on one front, but on all of them, all at once. So first up, let's look to the skies. And this isn't just speculation or some far-off dream. No, the Indian Army has officially published its blueprint for a future that is going to be dominated by unmanned aerial systems. This is basically a public declaration of intent, a huge strategic pivot toward autonomous warfare. What you're looking at here represents a landmark document, the Technology Roadmap for Unmanned Aerial Systems. This 50-page guide was unveiled publicly, and it's a crystal-clear signal to India's private industry. The military is essentially saying, hey, this is what we need for the next 10 years. Get to work, build it. The ultimate goal here is total self-reliance, or Atmanirbhar, in a technology that has already proven it can decide who wins and who loses in a modern war. It's about building a domestic tech ecosystem that can innovate faster than any adversary. So how are they going to do it? Well, the strategy is built on 5 key pillars. First, a huge network of surveillance drones, everything from tiny nano drones that can map a single room, all the way up to high-altitude, long-endurance platforms that can just sit up there and watch borders for days. Second, and this is crucial, loitering munitions. You've probably heard of them as kamikaze drones that can circle a battlefield just waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Third, air defense drones, basically designed to be the ultimate countermeasure, drone hunters. Fourth, highly specialized drones for that invisible battlefield, electronic warfare, communications, even sniffing out chemical or nuclear threats. And finally, logistics drones. These are the unsung heroes, right? They're tasked with the massive challenge of resupplying troops way up in the Himalayas, a job that's incredibly dangerous and expensive for regular aircraft. And you know that drone strategy feeds directly into another high-tech battlefield. Because beyond the physical fight, there's a constant, invisible war being waged across the electromagnetic spectrum. And in this war, victory isn't measured in territory you gain, but in the signals you control. The main weapon in this invisible war is something called GNS jamming. Just think of it as electronic blindness. Almost every piece of modern military gear, from a guided missile to the drones we just talked about, needs signals from satellites like GPS to know where it is and where it's going. Jamming just blasts those super delicate signals with overwhelming noise. It's like cutting the enemy's nervous system. If you can't navigate, you can't target. And if you can't target, your multi-million-dollar weapon is basically useless. And listen, this is not some theoretical threat we're talking about. That number you're seeing, over 600, that's the number of reported GPS interference incidents in the airspace over the capital, Delhi, in just the first few months of 2024. This kind of disruption doesn't just affect military planes, it hits civilian aviation too. It's a real persistent vulnerability. And that is exactly why India is gearing up for massive jamming trials in the Bay of Bengal. It's not just to test if they can blind an adversary, but to figure out how to make their own systems bulletproof against this exact kind of attack. Okay, now we are going to pivot hard. From that invisible war of signals, we're shifting to a strategy that is anything but invisible. From the absolute cutting edge of technology to the raw frontiers of nature. This is a hugely controversial idea that came from the Border Security Force, and it has started a major debate about what security even means. And this just says it all, doesn't it? We're literally moving from a conversation about sophisticated computer algorithms and spectrum dominance to a plan that involves claws, scales, and venom. It's a jarring, almost unbelievable contrast, but I'm telling you, it is being seriously considered.
So let's actually break this down as a serious policy debate, because that's what it is. The Border Security Force is dealing with 856 kilometers of riverine border with Bangladesh. Think dense jungle, shifting riverbanks, where building a normal fence is just impossible. So the proposal? Release crocodiles and venomous snakes into these waters. The potential upside? A powerful, self-sustaining, pretty low-cost natural deterrent to try and hit that zero infiltration goal. But wow, the risks are immense. The chance of human-animal conflict with local villagers and fishermen who need those rivers to live is incredibly high. Ecologically dumping that many apex predators into the water could totally wreck the local ecosystem. And maybe the biggest risk of all, unlike a drone you can call back or a jammer you can turn off, an animal's behavior is and always will be completely uncontrollable.
So while India is rethinking its external borders with both super high-tech and, let's say, low-tech solutions, it's also fighting an increasingly complicated war within its own borders. The threat here is what they call hybrid. It's a dangerous mix of online radicalization, foreign intelligence handlers pulling strings, and local operatives planning actual real-world violence.
Just look at a series of recent operations, and you'll see this coordinated nationwide threat. In Mumbai, 2 operatives named Musab and Hamad, part of an ISI-linked module, were arrested. Their plot, uncovered by police in Delhi, was terrifyingly clever: hide IEDs inside toy cars. At the same time, police in Punjab were taking down other groups connected to another ISI handler, while a separate bust in Sitapur found a guy named Shubham Kumar with a remote-controlled IED. You see, these aren't just isolated incidents. They're dots connecting into a national network of hybrid terror.
And then there's this, the piece of evidence that changes the whole conversation. During these raids, authorities found grenades with official Pakistan Ordnance Factory markings on them. Now, for investigators, that's not just a clue, it is, in their words, the clearest smoking gun. It takes the conversation from suspicion to direct evidence of state-level involvement, creating a direct line from the terrorists on the ground to a foreign state sponsor.
So, what does this all mean when you put it together? When you put the drone roadmap next to the jamming trials and the reptile proposal next to the internal counter-terror ops, you start to see the outline of a truly comprehensive 360-degree defense strategy. It's a plan built for a world where threats aren't predictable or one-dimensional anymore. This new defense strategy really rests on 4 interconnected pillars. First, the push for drone supremacy to make sure they control the skies of the future. Second, building electronic resilience, having the ability to fight and win even when the satellites go dark. Third, a real commitment to unconventional tactics. Leaving no stone or swamp, apparently, unturned to find something that works for border security. And fourth, hardening internal security to take apart these sophisticated hybrid threats from the inside. Together, it all forms a multi-layered, incredibly complex strategy for a very new and unpredictable era of warfare.
This is a story that's unfolding at an incredible pace. And believe me, we'll be tracking every single development. To make sure you don't miss any of our ongoing analysis, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. But for now, that evolving strategy leaves us with one final fascinating question. When a nation is getting ready for war with both artificial intelligence and wild animals, you just have to ask, is weaponizing nature a brilliant, out-of-the-box solution for an impossible problem, or is it an uncontrollable threat that ends up being a bigger risk to its own people than to its enemies? The answer could define the future of border security, not just for India, but for the entire world.